Okay, in this assignment we're going to make a cube to learn some of the basics and how to navigate Autodesk. Up in the top you have some options. You can create, modify, assemble. So you just work through these. They're kind of in order of how you would use them. On the left you have some of your settings. You want to check that your document settings are in inches. So if you do this drop down arrow and this is not in inches, here's how you change it to inches. Click on the little paper to the right of it. Over here on the right side of your screen, this is going to pop up and make it inches and say set as default. Okay, now that we have the right units of measurement, we're going to start drawing. To draw, you have to select a plane to draw on. So this tool is your plane tool. Select it. It's got the little green plus sign. Okay, here it shows us some different planes that we can choose from. The red is the X axis. The blue is the Y axis. The green is the Z. And a lot of times I'll just pick the XY axis. Doesn't really matter, but I'm going to pick right here. So that's created a plane for me. If I were to zoom out and rotate, you can see that there is a plane there. It's like a piece of paper you're drawing on. Okay, while we're looking at this plane, I want to talk about how you navigate. Your scroll wheel zooms you out and in. So if you scroll forward, it goes out. Backwards, it goes in. If you click your scroll wheel in, like it's a button, and hold it, you can pan. You can also navigate in the top right using this navigation cube. Has some arrows that you can click on that will rotate. Also some little arrows here that will rotate the cube. You can click and hold on to it and rotate it that way. And if you want to get like a perfect perpendicular view, you can click on like the top and it will make it perpendicular to your view. So that's how you can navigate this thing. What happens here is we have some coordinates that you can work with. This is called a Cartesian plane. So for instance, like if this was 1 inch and this is 1 inch, well, here's one. So here's one, here's one. This coordinate would be 1 x, 1 y. This coordinate would be 2x, 2y. So it's a Cartesian system. Okay, so anyways, we're in the sketch mode. Since we're drawing on this plane and sketching, it's given us all of our sketch tools. They're active. You can see right here that the tab sketch is selected and all the tools are below it. These tools are called parent tools. If you click on a parent tool, it'll become active. So to start out, I'm going to show you how to draw a line. Click on the line tool. Click and snap in the middle. So I clicked and let go right there in the origin, the 0, 0. And then I'm going to go up. You'll notice that it does a couple things. On the left, it shows me the distance that I have moved. And then on the right, you can see it shows me the angle from that X plane, that X axis. So you can see that 1.90 of an inch is highlighted in blue. I can type in what I want. Let's type in 4. Well, let's do 2. I'm going to erase that. 2. Enter. Now it's drawn a line that's 2 inches. On the left, there is a dimension. It's just calling out that distance. I can keep that dimension there and it lets me like change the line, or I can click on that dimension and delete it. So let's click on the line tool again, or you can type L and snap to where we left off and click. Go to the right, 2, enter. And then just keep doing this. Let me show you a little trick here. If I want this line to end where this one does, I can bring it down and hover over this point and then go to the right, and it's going to snap it to that line. And if you look up in the top, there's a little blue square in the corner. That shows me that it's 90 degrees. When you close your shape, close your lines, it creates a shape and it highlights. This is important because you cannot create a three-dimensional shape unless it is a closed shape. So I'm going to go to Finish Sketch. And then over here are my three-dimension tools. Like I said, we kind of start from the left and work to the right. So I'm going to start over here with the Extrude tool. Now I have the square. I'm going to make it three-dimensional. I'm going to extrude it. So if you click on the Extrude tool and click on your square, it should be highlighted in blue. I like to take my view cube and rotate it a little bit. And you can see there's an arrow. I can grab that arrow and drag it up. Also on the right, you have some options for extruding. Right here's the dimension for extruding. So if I typed in 2, it will extrude it 2 inches up to make it a perfect cube. On the right, you can extrude it from one direction or both directions or equally. You can make it do some different things here. We'll visit this later. So I typed in 2. I'm going to hit enter. Now that I have my cube, we're going to clean it up a little bit. We're going to soften the edges. We're going to do something called a fillet. So like I said, we work from left to right. Now that we have our shape, we can modify it with these tools in the modify area. So I'm going to go to this option, which is to fillet, round a corner. You don't want sharp corners on things. So we're going to go around and click on all these edges that you want to fillet. So you might have to rotate it a little bit. Be careful you don't click on the face. You don't want to click here. You want to click on these edges. So go around and select as many as you can reach. Now we have our fillet tools here on the right. So we need to select how we're going to fillet this. Okay, so I have them all selected. Now I need to choose a radius. So the larger the radius, the bigger the circle. So like this cube is 2 inches. So if I typed in a 2-inch radius, it's not even going to let me. It can't do that. But if I typed in a 1 inch, it's going to be pretty big. So you don't want to do a big number here. We're going to do something small like 0.25. So we have 1/4 inch. Looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and say OK. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to put a hole in this. So you can actually select one of the planes, one of the faces on this, and draw on it and then modify it. The way you do that is you go back to your new plane tool and you just pick where you want to draw. I want to pick on this face right here. And if you look, if I were to tilt this and zoom out, it's placed a plane on top of that cube where I selected. So I'm going to get nice and centered on that. And then I'm going to select the circle tool. And I'm going to hover over this. And usually it'll tell me that's a center right there. It does. So if you look, it says place center point. It's showing me some blue lines that are showing that it's centered. I'm going to click and let go and drag it out. We're going to make this hole 1 inch. So 1, enter. And now we're going to extrude this hole. So I'm rotating this a little bit with my view cube. I'm clicking with my mouse and moving it. Now we want to make this cut through. So I'm going to say finish sketch. And then I'm going to say extrude again. I'm going to select this circle. You see how it has changed color? And what I'm going to do is on this one, I'm just going to grab the arrow and drag it all the way through. And the program recognizes that I probably want to cut a hole. So over here on the right, in my options, it's saying cut. But if I said join, you could see it makes a solid shape. So you can change that, but it's just guessing what I want to do. I'm going to say OK or hit enter. And now you have a hole through the center of this. Okay, so make sure you save this. Go to File, Save As. I've already saved it once, but click Save As. Do your name and cube. And right here, it doesn't really matter where you save it here, but just say Save. Now, what I want you to do is go to File, Export, and make sure it says your name and cube. And I want you to change the file type. When you click on this, yours will have a drop down. On that drop down, it's going to have one that says DWG. DWG. Select DWG. Say Export. And it's changing that from a three-dimensional thing to a two-dimensional thing. After it's done that, make sure you know where it's saved, and then go ahead and submit it. So it's completed that. I'm going to say Show in File Explorer, and then I'm going to grab it where it is, and I'm going to drag it onto my number, and then go into Canvas and submit that.